Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
I'm Terry Wollman, and you are listening and watching to Making It with Terry Wollman. We're here live at NAMM 2020. And we are broadcasting for EnterTalk Media and the NAMM Foundation. I'm here with two pretty fascinating people, I would say, both friends of mine and both people, one I've known for many, many years, over 30, I would say. I'm talking to you, Jeff Weber.
Because I made hundreds. So
No. I think we met in the 80s when we both were coming up.
You guys remember that?
I do.
I rely on him.
So I'm here with producer Jeffrey Weber, and also with EnterTalk Media CEO and producer Florentino Buenaventura. Let me tell you a little bit about each of these gentlemen, and then we're going to jump into some pretty interesting conversation, I would say. Jeff Weber has been a recognized music industry professional for 40 years. He's produced over 200 CDs. Along the way, his projects have yielded 2 Grammys, 7 Grammy nominations, over 17 top 10 albums, 2 #1 albums, and an assortment of other honors. I have been following and a fan of Jeff's work since the 80s. Florentino Buenaventura is the CEO of this network, EnterTalk Media, and the producer of my podcast, Making It with Terry Wollman. He's the bass player with a background in business and marketing. And welcome.
Yay, crew.
Gentlemen. I'm just a personal question before we get into the business, and because you've been interviewing a lot of people, you have been on lecture panels here, and you both have this very strong point of view, but what was your primary goal to accomplish at NAMM this year? A personal goal or professional goal? World peace.
Well, actually, no, it's kind of a funny question, because music is one of the unique unifiers of cultures and people.
Right.
And for EnterTalk, our goal is to help inform, help power, help bridge the music industry with people, with experts, with enthusiasts. So yeah, world peace. I guess that's, it's a big call, but
yeah,
right?
I'll take it.
Why not?
And Jeff, for you, was there anything that you just, like a person you wanted to see, a piece of gear, or a personal relationship?
The NAMM show is perfect for getting together with friends that you haven't seen in a while,
right?
In person, which I love. I love running into folks that I adore, but I've not. We only keep in contact through social media.
Right.
But my role here, basically, in discussing amplifying what Tina was saying, is there's so much misinformation about the record industry in general. Mm-hmm. And for somebody like me and you that we've been around for a while, I think it's our obligation to really tell the truth and just dissipate all the misinformation and get rid of it. The truth is painful at times, but I think people really want to know that. If everyone tells you your song is fantastic, you'd love to believe it. But the record business has a history of saying stuff when they mean just the opposite.
Right.
So it's almost a relief when somebody actually tells you the truth.
Right. Yeah, the bridge is a little weak, but you've got a really good hook going.
There's always something great that you can say.
Right.
And as a header, so that you can then constructively suggest things.
So you like to lead with something positive?
Always.
Me too.
Smile first. That's the thing. If you can make them smile first, then you can tell them how bad the chorus really is.
Right.
And it still comes out like positive.
They'll hear it. Yeah. So you're a truth teller. The panel that you were on, you've been on a couple of panels, but wasn't one of them about demystifying the myths of the music business or the record industry?
Yes. We talked about, the future of the business, where it stands, and I've done many. My last speech at NAMM was, if you sign a major label record deal, your career is over, and I can prove it. Not exactly what people want to hear.
Right, but that's your That's your mission statement.
That is it. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, it's all in writing, so
Right.
it can't be refuted by major labels. Here's the contract. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Right.
Yeah. What I got from that was pretty much you guarantee them everything, they guarantee you nothing.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day.
Correct.
And it's interesting in this time and day and age. We've been interviewing thought leaders in the music business all day. Me and Terry have been
Right.
doing that. And the one thing I definitely have heard is education, because there's so many myths that we need to debunk. There's so much misinformation. There's so much thoughts that things were the way they were, or even the new stuff that if I have 1 million followers, I'm going to have a lot of money. And all of that is all not true. It takes a lot of work, hard work. It takes dedication, passion, commitment, and focus is the key to any successful element, anything that you do in your life, whether it be a relationship, with a partner, or whether it be a relationship with a career or a relationship with music. So all those other things are not going to drive a career for you in the music business. And I think Jeffrey was able to really drive that home in the keynote speech that you did and the panel that we did together.
So then I take it that your point of view is that if you are an artist that's releasing music, the wise way to do it is to be an independent artist.
If you look at the numbers, just the numbers, the answer to your question would be absolutely.
Right.
If you're looking with every other aspect of it, the answer would be absolutely. If you did all these things on a major label, you would be paying for them at 100% anyway.
Right.
But you would get 85% less income for every product you sell.
Right.
The numbers don't lie.
Right. Yeah.
Best to be independent, control your content. That way, when it comes
Own
to
your
licensing, own your masters. When it comes to licensing opportunities, there's no one to ask.
Right.
You own it.
Right.
You
I think that's the biggest driver if you're for recorded material, right? Licensing.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your point of view, Jeff, as a musician, as a producer, as a mentor, guide, consultant, all the things that you do? So here's an independent artist. I'm a good example. So I own my masters.
Right.
I want to license my songs or a song or a catalog or an entire album to Music Library. The first thing they want to do is take publishing.
Correct.
So, for me and I've spoken to other artists about this. Tina Guo was on earlier, and she is an artist who decided she's going to do a Music Library album and create new music and go down that business path. And she's a smart businesswoman, so she's doing that as a separate. But for me, when I've already been on the radio and there's a value to this catalog, I'm a little reluctant to give them the publishing on that. I'm more than happy to write new music. Am I being rigid in my thinking?
It's a very tough pill to swallow when you have the success and the history and the catalog that you do, to have someone tell you that, oh yeah, we're going to pitch your material. In order to do that, we need the intellectual property 50% at least.
Right.
Again, I think it's difficult to swallow. I think it's a hard pill because there's no quantification. So if they could say to you, we're going to take half the publishing and we're going to guarantee you placements on 3 major films.
Right.
They can't do that.
Or we'll revert back to you after 3 years, which they don't always want to put in a contract. Or
I asked them for a reversion contract within 90 days.
90 days.
Because if they can't do their job for me within 90
Right.
days, how do I know they're going to do their job in 9 years?
And I totally agree with you, but are you finding that there are heads of music libraries that are successful people that are placing a lot of music in film and TV that are willing to give you a 90-day reversion?
None of them.
Yeah, okay.
None of them. They all want everything
Right.
that they can. I think what they're thinking is, look, when they go and they pitch a product and they're capable of saying, okay, here's a song, and then whoever they're talking to says, well, we're looking for something more like, and they go, okay, check this out.
Right. Well, sure. Yeah.
So they're going to try to have as much of that as possible.
Right. Yeah.
I just don't want to be that pea in that pod.
Right.
Because writing new music specifically for them, where it's going to be a co-publishing deal,
right,
is a lot easier position to take.
Absolutely.
And especially why I don't like the idea of my artists giving up publishing for any reason unless they can obtain additional income that they can physically and actually see.
Like in advance? Do those exist anymore?
Of course not.
Okay. We have a box of Kleenex for any of you who are crying at this information.
But we can always pound away.
Yeah, well, we can ask.
So, from our perspective, EnterTalk and being content marketers, we kind of look at a new world for the artist being able to generate income. So obviously, I heard today 75% of all artists' income comes from touring, but not everybody can tour for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Especially, players that have been doing it forever. They don't want to go out on another 300 city tour, So I think it's going to revert back to a little bit of what we see.
And by the way, let me just interject. For those that are willing and able, they don't always have the opportunity because the road is crowded.
It is. There's
the line is long.
There's a lot
for getting on festivals and.
But the key is to build. If you're building a community, that's different than getting follows and likes. Community means getting engaged with your audience, getting to know them, building relationships. That's the one thing I think is different that's cool today, that you can actually know it could be a two-way relationship with an artist.
Right.
And at that particular point, give them things that are personal to you, maybe different types of merch. Like one of the things we've kind of joked around is sell coffee. Go out, build a relationship with a coffee, maker. You can buy raw coffee, put your brand on it, and that's consumable merch. So that's one of the ideas that we suggest to artists as they come along. Other ideas are think about different things, partnerships that you can, because at the end of the day, I think it's going to go back to the days of Mozart, Beethoven. It's going to be patrons.
Right.
Patrons are going to come from corporations. Where back in the 60s and 60s and 70s, we pushed away from selling out. At this day and age, I think you're going to have to get engaged with people who are going to support your music, your art. If you don't, you're going to find that you're going to be stuck with touring, and that's kind of one of our perspectives. That's where we're hoping to bridge artists and other and be able to teach how to do that.
Well, you just used one of my favorite words, relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. I mean, we have a friendship relationship. We've been rooting each other on for years. We've been referring each other for things, and and I think that's so important. There is a community. There's a community of artists that support each other, and then there's the relationship that you build with your fans, your fan base.
My opinion is that this industry, our industry, even though getting from one end of the convention center to the other is a grind, our industry is really small.
Right.
And it's upon us
150,000 professional musicians in the U.S.
It's
upon us to take care of each
Census
other.
Bureau.
Wow.
We're the ones that have to provide opportunity.
Right.
Now, the reason why a lot of 75% of income is via touring is because that exposes the real issue with our business now, because distribution isn't the problem. We can get our music to anyone on the planet within 36 hours.
Right.
The question, of course, is who cares? And I mentioned this earlier. How can we get somebody to believe that it's important for them to listen to our product?
Right.
Touring is a great way. The reason for that is because the industry is so fractionalized. Our goal is to find our audience.
Right.
When you come out with a record, you have your fans. They're specific to your music.
Right.
They know you. They love you. Your obligation is to keep them and grow.
Right.
And you do that by touring.
Right.
And by offering things to them on your website or your social media. That's what our job is to find our audience, because within that we can make a living, and we can find those people that love what we do, and they may be very small, but they'll be very active, they'll be very aggressive, and they'll be for us. We're not going to see 20 million sales of a single entity anymore. The industry isn't built that way anymore.
Well, we're both record producers, and you've been very successful as a record producer. How have you had to change your business model as a producer? Can you make a living just producing records now?
Well, I have a very bad business philosophy. As soon as I get really pissed off with the industry, I raise my prices.
Oh, smart. No, Groucho Marx, right? How much does it cost? Oh, you couldn't afford it. How much not to rehearse? Oh, yeah, you couldn't afford that, right? So you raise your prices?
I raise my prices.
Great.
Because I figure that, I've been doing this for a while. There is value to me. I'm the one that has to realize it first before anybody else does.
Agreed.
I know it sounds silly, but I represent...
In some ways and in other ways, no.
I bring a lot to the table.
I want to go back to what you were saying about building communities. We don't have to have 1 million people that engage us. Peep this realization: 1,000 people, $10 a month doing something. That's $100,000 a year.
Right.
If you can engage them to want to be part of supporting you, that's $100,000 a year, and that's what better than most touring musicians have made.
Right.
Again, once you find your audience that they think that's a deal, you're done.
Yeah, that's it. You got to build that. You got to build that value. Mm-hmm. But it could be even, like I said, 500 people, and it's really about just establishing relationships.
Right.
Now, one thing I'd like to say too is back in the day, it was very easy to be an artist and not have to think about what you're doing. Jimi Hendrix probably couldn't business his way out of a bag. Today, your artist has to be business savvy. Mm-hmm. They have to understand how to drive their own media, their capability of marketing themselves. They have to understand how to sell themselves, how to package themselves. If there's one thing I always see, I get packages from people all the time wanting to be on the network, and the first thing I look at is, are they serious? Have they put together a serious package for themselves to represent themselves? And that's one of the things that I think has changed greatly from yesterday to today.
That makes sense. I mean, presenting yourself in first impressions, ironing your shirt or, running a comb through your hair before you leave the house, in the same way that presents itself now in social media. That the first impression generally is not, hi, my name's Terry, nice to meet you, and I'm looking at you, and you're a real person, and there's a real person behind the camera that I'm looking at. But that might not be the first impression. The first impression is you go up on iTunes and you see this little postage size stamp of my face, and you make a determination about whether or not you want to press play to see what I sound like, and so that makes a lot of sense, to really, or you go to the website or any of the social media pages. Let me ask you, in wrapping this up, what's the thing that gives you, Florentino, I'll start with you, the most hope right now for the future of the record business, like recording music, performing, creating music?
I think there's a great passion to create now, and these platforms give a lot of styles and a lot of voices the ability to share out their art, whereas before it was very focused on what can I get on the radio, right? Or what can I get into this particular narrow area. What I'm hoping, in which we've come out of this line of conversations with all these leaders, is education. Learn your craft, learn your business, learn what social medias do what. Learn that, Instagram, yes, is important. It's about image. Facebook is about networking. Twitter is about sharing out what you are, what's new, what's relevant in your life. There's all these different social medias and the reasons to have those. YouTube is about teaching people about you, and then follow up with these people that give you comments. Don't think, I got a like, great. Interact with them. It's going to take a lot of work, and hopefully if you're banned, you share that. So that gives me hope that there's that opportunity, and as new avenues of revenue present themselves, that's going to drive a very varied collection of great art that all these gear companies here at NAMM 2020 can help power with their tools. So that's my hope for the future.
Great. Jeff?
What gives me hope is no matter how much we screw up our industry, which we do on a regular and daily basis, the public, the people that they love music,
Right.
they adore music, they will find music,
Right.
and they will make music. That gives me hope.
Well, that leaves me feeling hopeful, and that's a great way to end this series of NAMM interviews today. Thank you both, Jeffrey Weber. I just so appreciate you.
Terry.
Yeah, of course, always. Florentino Buenaventura.
Terry, thank you.
For making a beautiful network where we can have these conversations.
My brother.
I am Terry Wollman, and you are watching Making It with Terry Wollman live at NAMM 2020. Thank you, NAMM. Thank you, EnterTalk Media.
The
Terry
man.
Wollman.
Thanks,
There we go.
everybody.
Thank you.